So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be discussing Indian Express newspaper and I am sorry for the delay. There was some kind of technical issue, so let's start without any further delay. So we will be starting with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture. Then we will be talking about some facts and then we will be moving towards the Know Our Constitution section, wherein we will be talking about not much but two articles today, that is article 301 and 302. So we will be looking at what these articles are talking about. Okay. Then we will be talking about these four articles. One is Reconstituting Monetary Policy Committee. Okay, so you know that there is this another review which is due in October. Okay, so I guess first week of the October they will be reviewing again for our, you can say, interest rates, etc. Which these activities are happening. Other than that, when we talk about Himalayas, they are young mountains and that is why they are rising yet. But the space at which they are rising, that is what is interesting to look at. So we will be talking about that particular article as well. Status of elephants in India. Here in on the front page there is this article. Government printed, then shelved its report on elephants. Count fell by 20% in last 5 years. Okay, so we will be going through the data. We will be seeing why this count is going lesser and lesser, or you can say why there is this decline in the number of elephants. Okay. Now the article is quite big, there are various numbers which has been discussed, but those numbers are not important for us. At max, if you want to remember this number will be sufficient. Okay, so let's start with the discussion. In the end there will be two articles for your own read. Okay, since there was a holiday yesterday, so we have taken few articles from yesterday's newspaper as well. So there are two article for your own read, so you can go through that, out of which one we have already discussed in our discussion. Okay, so let's move further. And here you can see the question: who audits the expenditure from the Consolidated Fund of India, Finance Ministry, CAG, Reserve Bank of India, or Prime Minister's Office? Okay, so that is option B, that is CAG. Okay, now we can move further to the you can say fact of the day. Before that, I would like to make this announcement that at our different centers at Lucknow, Prayagraj, Jaipur, Karol Bagh and Indore, we are having this GS Foundation course. At Indore center it has already started. When we talk about the other centers, there are dates which are given. Today, that is 3rd of October, Prayagraj batch will be starting. So you can directly visit the centers and get yourself involved. Okay. So in Lucknow it is starting from 16th of October, Jaipur 7th October, Karol Bagh 17th October. Okay, so directly visit the center, you can get enrolled, or you can call on this number 8010440440. Okay, again 8010440440. For any kind of query you can call on this number. Okay, so let's start with the discussion. First is facts of the day. Now I have told you that we have celebrated 100th you can say year or the anniversary of the excavation of the Indus Valley civilization. Okay. Now when we talk about the Indus Valley civilization, we have discussed two sites yet. One is Harappa, second we have discussed Lothal. Okay. Now there are various sites, we won't be able to go through all the sites and all the specifics. Okay, otherwise it will be like a static class. But what we can do is this particular map, this particular map you can remember, because there are various sites which are given. Okay, Roper. Okay, Lucky 2, we have seen R.D. Banerjee has gone for the Mohenjo-daro. Then why is that we are celebrating 100th you can say anniversary in 2024? That says that something must have happened in 1924. Okay, so after these two excavations, John Marshall, he was the Director General of, you can say, ASI at that point of time. John Marshall has actually called these two personalities, that is R.D. Banerjee and the Dayaram Sahni, to Shimla. And in Shimla, they have discussed the, you can say, conclusion they have drawn from their excavations. And what he did was that he printed that particular excavation reports, or you can say whatever they have got from these two. He has made a connection between them, and he has said that both the sites are having similarities. Okay, and he has given the name, that is Indus Valley Civilization, and he has published it in the paper, and because of which he has got the credit. Okay, but when we talk about the excavation, that was done by Dayaram Sahni and R.D. Banerjee, these were Indians. Okay, now this is something 1924 when this particular name was published in the, you can say, paper, and that is why we are celebrating this in 2024. Anyways, now please remember these three names: R.D. Banerjee, Dayaram Sahni and John Marshall. If you can remember the years, that is even better. Now let's move further and start with the part 12 over here, finance, part 13 over here, trade, commerce, intercourse with the, you can say, within the territory of India. Now when we are talking about this particular part, there are 7 articles, 301 to 307. For your importance, there are two articles which you should remember, that is Article 301 and 302. Now, Article 301 is saying that freedom to trade, commerce and intercourse. Now, when we are talking about this particular article, that is a legal right, legal constitutional right, okay, constitutional right. Now, what is the difference between a legal constitutional right and the fundamental right? Fundamental rights are directly guaranteed by the Supreme Court. If there is a failure, if you are you can say if there is a violation of fundamental right, you can directly go to the Supreme Court. But when there is this you can say constitutional right, you have to go to High Court for any kind of issue of the writ. Okay, so these are constitutional right and not, you can say, fundamental rights. So Article 301 says that you can trade, commerce and intercourse within the territory of India, that is your freedom. But now Article 302 is putting some kind of restrictions. They are saying that there is this power to Parliament which to impose the restriction on the trade and commerce and intercourse. Now they are saying that you have the freedom, and in the second article they are saying that Parliament has power to curtail that. Now why is that? Because when we talk about certain specific areas like atomic energy, like nuclear powers, when we talk about the railways, okay, so you must have seen that there was this time where was, you can say, monopoly of government was there in certain areas. Okay, so when we talk about this monopoly of government and we are saying that we have freedom to go for the trade and commerce, if some person is saying that I want to go for, you can say, trade or you can say some kind of business in atomic energy, that person would not be allowed. Okay, why? Because there is this Article 302 which is giving power to Parliament to restrict the trade in some places. Okay, so there are certain, you can say, areas where only government can go for trade. So that is why we are having this article, Article 302, which is giving power to Parliament to put certain kind of restriction in specific fields. Okay, so these two articles, if you can remember. Okay, anyways, now let's move further and start with the first article of our discussion. Center reconstitutes the Monetary Policy Committee ahead of the RBI rate review. Okay, the new external members in the MPC are Ram Singh, Director, Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi, then Saugata Bhattacharya, and there is this Nagesh Kumar. Okay, so now you don't have to remember the names, it's just they are given here, so I have read it out for you. But when we are talking about the Monetary Policy Committee, why is that there a Monetary Policy Committee? What is the composition? That is important for your exams point of view. Okay, so let's see first. Government has gone for changing the constitution of the committee or the composition of committee. When we talk about Monetary Policy Committee, okay, in this there are 6 members. Out of these 6 members, 3 are from RBI and 3 are from the government side. Okay, now when we talk about RBI's member, so first we have governor of RBI. Okay, so that is you can say ex officio chairperson. So governor of RBI will be the chairperson. Okay, so that is one thing. Second is deputy governor. He will be responsible for the monetary interest rates, etc. So he is there in the you can say Monetary Policy Committee. He is the second member, and there will be a third member which will be nominated. Okay, which will be a nominated person from the RBI. Okay, so that is 3 members which are there from the RBI. Now there are 3 members which will be there from the government side. These 3 members should have some kind of expertise in the area. Okay, on the basis of which government will be going for appointment of these members. Generally these appointments are for 4 years. Okay, so that is the 3 members which are changed right now. These are the members which government has actually appointed. Okay, so these 3 members who has been replaced with the other one, these are basically, you can say, on the from the sides of the government. Okay, so that is the composition of Monetary Policy Committee. Okay, now coming to the article over here, the central government on Tuesday reconstituted the Monetary Policy Committee ahead of the monetary policy review of the Reserve Bank of India on October 7 to 9. That is, I guess, second week of the October. Now appointed 3 external members in the Monetary Policy Committee. These are the 3 external members which are appointed by the governor. Now the 3 external members have been appointed for a period of 4 years. Other members of the Monetary Policy Committee from RBI, which include Deputy Governor of the RBI in charge of the monetary policy, and one other officer of the RBI nominated by the central board, and the RBI governor is the chairperson of the Monetary Policy Committee. So that is the composition which has been discussed over here. Now looking at these lines over here, the MPC fixes the benchmark interest rate. When we talk about what is the function of MPC, Now, monetary policy committee has a inherent function that you have to control the inflation, make sure that growth is on the right part. Okay. Now, you have to control the inflation. So, they have put a target, that is, we will be keeping the inflation below 4%, but they have, chosen a buffer of 2%. Okay. So, basically here you can say plus minus 2% can be there. So, you can say it is ranging from 2% to 6%. So, they will have this objective that they will try to keep the inflation between 2 to 6%, but there are times, or you can say specifically speaking, they will be keeping it below 4%, they are having a 2% buffer. Okay. So, 2 to 6%, that is the target of RBI. Okay. Now, how they, you can say, decide on that? They actually use the repo rate. Okay. Repo rate is a rate on which banks are taking loan from the RBI. Okay. And since if the repo rate is high, and you can say if repo rate is high and bank has to pay more interest, that means that bank will charge more interest from the customers as well. Okay. Why? Because bank has to go for, from where bank will get the money? From the customers only. So, if RBI is charging more money or more interest from the banks, then obviously banks will also charge more money from the customers. That means that money supply in the market will be lesser. Okay, because customers will be, you can say, discouraged from getting a loan, because obviously loan charges are high. Okay, and that is why you will be seeing that when the repo rate is high, inflation will go down. Okay. So, that is how they try to control the money or the liquidity in the market, and inherently they are controlling the, you can say, inflation. Okay. So, they are using this repo rate. Okay. So, coming to this particular part over here, MPC fixes the benchmark rate or the base rate or reference rate that is used to set other interest rates in India. The primary objective of the RBI's, you can say, monetary policy is to maintain price stability while keeping in mind the objective of the growth. Here, two objectives are there. They are going for the inflation control, keeping in mind the economic growth. Okay. So, that is there. Price stability is necessary precondition to the sustainable growth. In May 2016, RBI Act was amended to provide a legislative mandate to the central bank to operate the country's monetary policy framework. Okay. When we talk about, you can say, RBI has this old act which is there. Okay, and they have gone for the change in that particular act in 2016. When we are talking about the RBI has this act, that is RBI Act 1934. Okay, and from this particular in this particular act, they have made some amendment in 2016, wherein they have come up with the idea of monetary policy committee, and this 2016 was the first time when the monetary policy committee was constituted. Okay. Now, moving further, here you can say it is aiming at the setting the policy repo rate based on the assessment of the current and the evolving macroeconomic situations and the modulation in the liquidity. So, basically they are trying to look at the situation, or you can say economic condition of the country, and on the basis of which they will be deciding on the repo rate. Okay, and repo rate will be the rate which is again transforming to the other rates in the, you can say, banking system. Now, section 45ZB of the RBI Act 1934 was amended. Central government is empowered to constitute a 6-member monetary policy committee to determine the policy interest rate required to achieve the inflation target. The first such MPC was constituted in 2016, that is September 29. Okay. Date is not important, just know the year, and because in this particular year only they have gone for the amendment, so it is easy for you to remember. It is consisting of the RBI governor as an ex officio chairman, deputy governor in charge of the monetary policy, and an officer of the bank nominated by the central board. The 3 persons from the government will be appointed. The person of these 3 persons should be person of ability, integrity, and the standard, having knowledge and the expertise in the field. Okay. So, this is about the composition of monetary policy committee. We have seen that here they will be keeping the target 2 to 6%, and they will try to keep it down to 4%. Okay. So, that is there which we have discussed, that target is 4%, plus minus 2% is a buffer. So, you can say that from 2 to 6% is the, you can say, place where they want to keep the, you can say, interest rates. Okay. Anyways, now let us move further to the next article. So, West Asia on edge, India calls for the restraint, says avoid travel to Iran. Okay, so basically there was this advisory which has been, you can say, given by the embassy in the Iran. Since situation is not very good, so they are saying that you should avoid travel to Iran. because obviously Iran has fired hundreds of missiles on Israel, and because of which there are chances that Israel might retaliate. Because yesterday we have seen in the newspaper, sorry, day before yesterday we have seen in the newspaper that Israel has said that no country in the area is out of their reach. Okay, to that they have retaliated with the hundreds of missiles on the Israel side, and now there are chances that Israel might go for the, you can say, retaliation, and that is why it is not safe to travel to Iran, or as a matter of fact in the Middle East. Okay, now here if we look at Jaishankar holds talk with the Blinken and the Sullivan, that is basically the, you can say, diplomats from USA. Here you can see, as tensions soared across the West Asia after Iran's missile barrage on Israel, which threatened the retaliations, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, and the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in Washington DC and India, while calling for restraint by all the concern and the you can say protection of the civilians over there. Now all these things are basically, you can say, normal things, general things which they are talking about. Now what is the impact that is important for us? Here you can say India's worry is that long trade routes, high shipping rates, and the corridor risk. Okay, there are three things they are talking about. We will be talking about them one by one. Okay, now first thing they are saying, this long trade routes. Now look at this particular map. When we talk about India's energy security, when we talk about India's petroleum trade, when we talk about the crude oil, all these things are coming from this particular area. Okay, other than that, when we sometimes we see that we are having this particular state of you can say this particular Hormuz is there. So when we are talking about this trade route, that is also there, but most of them are coming from this area as well. Okay, so if you are going to Europe, that is the route which you have to take. Okay, now if we are talking about this particular area, you know that this is the conflict zone right now. Okay, so this is the part of the Israel, etc., and Suez Canal is there. So this route is known as Suez Canal route. Second thing is this area of Yemen. This is the area of Yemen, and in Yemen we are having Houthis. Houthis rebels are basically supporting Hamas, and they are against Israel, and they are creating chaos in this particular region for a while now. Okay, so that is one thing because of which this route is been hindered. Second thing is, if there is a instability in this particular area, when we talk about Israel, this is the area, and Iran somewhere over here, Syria is there, Lebanon is in the north of the Israel. So this area is basically having a trouble, and because of which this trade route is not very you can say safe right now, because of which insurance premium, whenever there is a shipment, there is an insurance of the shipment as well. Okay, so insurance premium are very high. Okay, so that is one thing, because of which there are chances that time taken will increase. Okay, and ultimately these all things are leading to the cost increase in the cost. Okay, so that is one thing. Second thing is, if you are not going from this particular region, then where are you going from? Then you have to go through the Cape of Good Hope and then to the Europe. Okay, and because of which, you know that this transit route is quite smaller, and for this you have to pay extra charges, because obviously transportation charges will be more and time taken will be more. Okay, so because of which also the cost of the shipment will increase. So ultimately that will harm the, you can say, traders over here. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now coming to the article again, here you can see, as the conflict in the West Asia you can say getting intense. Okay, and you can say it is getting unstable in this region, both global and the Indian traders are backing for a prolongated, you can say they are you know of the opinion that there will be this issue with respect to the trade in this particular region. Okay, the Red Sea shipping route may be having some kind of hindrances, and that is why they are shifting to the other route, that is basically from the Cape of Good Hope. That is a long route, and because of which, you can say, charges might get increased. Okay, now why this is happening? Because of the issue which has happened in Israel and Lebanon, with now, right, if we are considering that issue which has happening between Iran and Israel. Okay, and then Gaza Strip and the Israel. Okay, so because of which this area is becoming unstable. Now impact on India, if we see, so first we have seen that issue of Red Sea shipping route. Okay, so because of which since there is a crisis in this particular route, they will be going for the another route. Now here you can say the when we talk about the exports, that has fallen by the 9%. Okay, so since when we are talking about the shipments which are going from India to Europe or any other region, that means that exports are getting harmed. Other than that, here you can see India's petroleum exports in August slipped by 38% due to the Red Sea crisis. 38% we are saying. Okay, so that is a huge chunk. And here you can say India's petroleum export. When one thing is clear, I would want to tell you that India is importing crude oil. India is a importer, or you can say third largest importer of the crude oil. Okay, but we are exporter of the petroleum products. Petro products which are there, refinery products when we talk about, we are exporters of that particular products. Okay, so that is why here they are saying that the petroleum export has declined over here. Okay, now because of which declining margins, rising shipping cost and alternative sources are there. So we have to find alternative sources for our petroleum products as well. So these are certain concerns with respect to the, you can say, issue in the Red Sea. Okay, Europe account for 21% of India's overall petroleum products export in the fiscal 2023. So that is the kind of impact we are having on our trade. India's trade with the West Asia has silver lining due to the neutrality of the region. When we talk about this particular region, we have seen that the Arabian nations this time has been neutral about the issue. Okay, when we talk about UAE, when we talk about the Saudi Arabia, when we talk about the Qatar, etc., they have actually gone for the call for the you can say ceasefire, etc., but they tried to be neutral, and because of which in this particular area we can say that right now our trade is stable, because since they are neutral, and if they take part in the war, that means that we will be losing this trade as well. Okay, now global trade research initiative is talking about certain things over here. Here you can say India's trade with the Gulf Cooperation Council countries increased by 17% between the January and July 2024. Why this trade has you can say increased? Because we are looking for the different destination sources, so that this you can say loss can be compensated. Okay, so because of which we have started having trade with the Gulf countries, and since they are right now you can say stable, so we are trading with them. So there is the increase in the 70%. India's export to Iran has grown by 15.2% during this particular period. Okay, now longer trade route, which we have already discussed, that when we are talking about the volume of trade that passed through the Suez Canal, that has dropped by 50%. So from where this particular trade will happen? So Cape of Good Hope region. Okay, transitioning around the Cape of Good Hope surged by estimated 74% above the last year's level. Okay, particularly through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea have forced vessels to take longer path around the Horn of Africa, which we have already discussed. Now rise in the profits. Now when we are talking about this particular here, Indian exporters have been asking the government to focus on the developing a shipping line of the global repute. Okay, since they are saying that you should go for the creation of shipping line on which we can rely. Okay, if there is a crisis in the Middle East, the first thing that will be impacted, that is the trade with India. Okay, so for that the you can say industrialists and the you can say traders, they are saying that government should focus on developing a reliable shipping line. Okay, then India's outward remittance on the transport service is increasing with rising exports. Since exports are rising, and since cost of this transporting is rising, because of which outward remittances, whatever we are sending out, that is increasing. Okay, now risk to the corridor plan. We have this corridor which was you can say initiated at the G20 summit, that is the India Middle East Europe economic corridor. Okay, and because of this particular crisis, we are not able to work on this particular corridor. And the thing is, since if there is a instability in this particular region, even if working on this corridor won't give you any kind of results. Okay, so that is some things which are having against India when we are talking about this particular issues which are going on in the Middle East. Okay, so I hope this is clear, which we have already discussed, and I have told you the shipping routes. For your homework would be that you should intensively go through the maps of this particular area, because there are high chances that they might ask you questions from this particular area this time. Okay, now moving further here, there are certain things which are given. More than 180 missiles has been fired by Iran on the Israel, which we have already discussed. Iran actions after Israel being ground raided in Lebanon. So Israel has gone for the ground raids in the Lebanon. Before that, that there was this pager attack. After that, walkie-talkie attacks were there. Okay, then these missile attacks were there. So all these things has happened. Now they are going for the ground, you can say, aggression as well. Now US will help Israel defend itself, says President Joe Biden. Then UN chief says that this must stop. We absolutely need a ceasefire. Okay. Now here you can see Iran says missile barrage in retaliation for killing Nasrallah Revolutionary Guard commander and Hamas leader. Okay, so Israel has, in the recent part, they have gone for various strike and they have actually killed various leaders of various organizations, and because of which Iran has gone for this retaliation. Okay, now this area becomes important for you here when we talk about this particular region. You know, this is Israel. Okay, now if you look at this particular area, that is you can say Lebanon. Okay, Israel told residents to move north of the Awali river. Now please remember this particular river, that is Awali river. Now why is that they are asking them to move? Because there are civilians which are there, and that is why they are saying that you should move to the you can say more northern part. They might come to this particular place as well. Okay, since the ground rates has started here, you can say these areas. Okay, so there was initially there was a buffer zone which was created by Israel over here. When we talk about the 1978 etc., at that point of time they have created a buffer zone over here. Okay, no doubt there was a presence of Israel earlier over here. After that, the rise of Hezbollah was there, and they have to leave from this area in 2000. Okay, and Israelis left this area in 2000, but this buffer zone was still there. Okay, after that, in 2006 there was another attack which has been done by Israel in this particular area, and this is considered as the buffer zone established by the UN at the end of the 2006 war. Okay, so this buffer zone was created by UN at the end of the 2006 war. After that, there is this river, that is Litani river. Litani river was considered as the point where we have the buffer zone from the northern border of the Israel, and after that there is this other river, that is Awali river, and now Israel is saying that the citizens or the resident here should move to, you can say, north of Awali river. Okay, so please remember these two rivers, that is Awali river and the Litani river. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now we can move further to the next part. Government printed then shelved its report on the elephants count fell by 20% in 5 years. Okay, so in the number of elephants there is a decline, that is 20% drop has been seen. 20% drop in the elephant population from last 5 years. Central Indian and the Eastern Ghats even recording an alarming 41% dip compared with the 2017 estimate. When we talk about this census, that is happening at every 5 years. Okay, so this is the status of elephants in India report, okay, which has been created by the government, but they have actually put it on hold. Okay, they are saying that the data from the northeastern region is not yet there, and so that is why they have put it on. Earlier the plan was they will release this particular report, and afterwards they will add another volume with the data of the northeastern region, but right now they have published it, but they did not made a public circulation. Okay, so that is there. In the, you can say, central India and the Eastern Ghats, the dip is 41%. So that is something alarming which is there with respect to the last census. Okay, now what are the issues are the mushrooming developmental projects. Okay, so that is one thing. Second is unmitigated mining and linear infrastructure creation which is there. Okay, so one thing they are saying that they are going for the mining. Second thing is they are saying that developmental projects are there, because of which also elephants are having this issue with respect to the population. Okay, and then there is this construction activity which are going on. Okay, this is an interim report. The final report, including the estimation of the elephants in the northeastern region, is expected by June 2025. Elephant census every 5 years, it is held by the Wildlife Institution of India. Please remember this particular fact over here, Wildlife Institution of India. And when we talk about this particular report, that is been census, this has been conducted every 5 years. Okay, so this is about the elephant census. Here you can see, if you talk about the number, in 2017, this is in the central and the eastern region, that was 3168, and which has reduced to you can say 1864, that is 41% drop was there. Okay, other regions also, if you look at, everywhere you will be seeing a drop. Okay, and overall if you see, there are right now, if you exclude the part of northeastern region, there are basically 15,887 elephants which are there. 20% decline has been seen, because earlier there was 19,825. All data is not remembered, just know that percentage decline highest was there in the central and the eastern region, and overall if we see, that is 20% in India. And if you look at the overall number of elephants, that would be somewhere around, you can say, 26,000 in India, including the northeastern region, with the estimates we are talking about right now. Okay, somewhere around 25 to 26,000. Okay, anyways, there are certain other things which has been discussed over here. Report highlight the fragmentation of the eastern central landscape. Okay, eastern central landscape, if we talk about here, see, this is the eastern this is your eastern, sorry, and the central landscape. This is your northeastern landscape. Okay, this is your northwestern range, and this is the southern one. We have talked about these ranges and the elephants in the areas of the Pal Ghat. Okay, so all these things yesterday we have day before yesterday we have discussed. There are two distinctions which are there in the South India. Okay, so that is there. These are your elephant reserves which you can directly go through or take a screenshot as you wish. Okay, anyways, coming back to the article, they are talking about 2-3 things over here. That is, one is the fragmentation of the landscape, and because of which the elephants cannot go for the better movement. Okay, so that is there. Unmitigated mining and the infrastructure related issues which we have already discussed has prompted long ranging elephants to venture into historical ranges but currently unoccupied areas, fueling the human elephant conflicts. Okay, so since you are taking their ranges, or if you are going for any kind of developmental project in the elephant you can say residing area, so ultimately they will be moving toward the human settlements. Okay, and because of which there will be man animal conflict or man animal elephant conflict. Okay, poaching, railway collisions and the electrocutions by the power lines, these are another threats which are there. When we are talking about these area of once contiguous elephant population in the western Ghats, now that is been rapidly declining. We have seen that there are issues in the southern India as well with respect to the population rapidly disconnecting due to the changing land use, commercial plantations of the coffee and tea. When we talk about the area of Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, we know that we are having these commercial plantations over there, and because of which they are also threatening the elephant habitat. Farmland fencing, human encroachments and the mushrooming developmental projects which are there. Now if we talk about the relatively stable area, here you can say relatively stable Shivalik Terai population in the Uttarakhand and the Uttar Pradesh confronts significant threats from the encroachment, forest clearing, monoculture and the invasive species. These are some basic threats which are there, like habitat fragmentation, encroachment by the humans, etc., forest clearing and the monoculture, invasive species, okay, any kind of commercial plantations. So these are certain, you can say, general issues which are there with respect to the any kind of habitat loss, etc. Okay. Now moving further, in the northeast region, if you talk about, elephant populations are scattered in the mosaic dominated by the human habitats, tea plantations, mine, oil refineries, linear infrastructure development, making their movements and the life you can say precarious. Poaching for the ivory, that is major threat in the northeastern region. Okay, the elephant faces major challenge outside the few islands of the safety. These islands of the safety are nothing but basically the, you can say, your tiger reserves, etc. The protected areas are basically, you can say that these are the safe places like Kaziranga and now Manas, for example, in Assam, Nagarhole and Bandipur in Karnataka, or Corbett in Uttarakhand. But such pocket cannot sustain a species that is roaming distances. Okay, so since elephant are the, you can say, species which are going for the roaming different places, they try to take a longer, or you can say larger range. Okay, so they won't be restricting themselves to these particular areas of safety. So ultimately there are chances that there will be man animal conflict. Okay, so that is about it. Now moving further to the next one, that is, nearby river contributes to the rise of the mountain, says from a particular you can say there is this report which is saying that. Okay, anyways, so when we talk about the Himalayas, okay, and when we talk about the height of the you can say Mount Everest, you know that that is the you can say highest or having the highest altitude. Okay, so that is there 8,849 meters. Okay, and this has been rising. Okay, when we talk about the speed at which Himalayas are rising. Okay, and all these things are happening because these are youngest mountains. Okay, when we talk about the Indian plate or the Eurasian plate, these two plates has coincided with each other or collided with each other. Okay, so when what happens, let's see this is one continental plate, let's see this is the another continental plate. When they, you can say, have this collision with each other, whatever is the, you can say, dense plate, that will start to sink. Okay, so let's say this is the light one, this is the dense one. Okay, so what will happen is that this will start to come below this and this will start to rise like this. Okay, so ultimately you will be seeing that one plate is going like this and another plate will be going like this. Okay, and there will be distractions no doubt over here, because of which you will be seeing that there are volcanoes which are there, because ultimately if there is a destruction because of which this will get melted and this will convert into lava. Okay, so that is there. When this is rising upside, okay, so there are also, you can say, destructions over here, and they are ultimately making mountains. Okay, so these are basically right now your Himalayas which are being formed. Okay, and one plate is sinking over here, and because of which you will be seeing that there are earthquakes, volcanic activities which are there. Okay, so that is how Himalayas are being made. Okay, ultimately what was earlier the situation was that, you know, that this particular part of your peninsula, this was actually came from the, you can say, Indo-Australian plate. Okay, and here we had the Eurasian plate. This particular part came and attached with this particular plate, and because of the collision these Himalayas are being formed. So since these are young mountains and these particular plates are still moving, and that is why these Himalayas are rising. Now second thing is, when you know that, when if there is a plate which is lighter, okay, since this was the light plate, this was going above, okay, and this was the plate which was sinking, and these mountains were getting formed over here. Okay, this was the second plate. Now if the mass of this particular plate is getting, you can say, decreased, or there is some kind of erosion which is happening, and this mass is even, or you can say the weight of this particular plate is even getting lighter and lighter, and because of which this plate will start to move above faster. Okay, that has been said in this particular study, that this plate which is getting lighter, and why this is getting lighter, because of the erosion which has been performed by the Himalayan rivers on the Mount Everest or this particular area, and because of which this weight is decreasing. Since the weight is decreasing, that is getting lighter, and since this is the lighter plate, this will, you know, go above the denser plate, and that is why this particular process is getting even faster, and the mountains or the Everest and the Himalayas, these are basically rising at a faster pace. Okay, so that has been discussed in this particular article. Now they have discussed two rivers over here. One is your Arun river. Okay, Arun river is basically prominent river in Nepal and Tibet. Okay, so that is one thing. Second is Kosi river. They have discussed that once this Arun and Kosi has merged with each other, they have gone for the erosion in this particular area. So a large part of these mountains or the foothills has been eroded, and because of which the weight is been decreasing, and these you can say lighter plate is getting above it, and the denser plate is you can say getting inside the you can say, or you can say below the lighter plate. Okay, and these above plate is basically your Himalayas, and since these are getting lighter and lighter, and that is why they are rising faster. So that is the theory which has been given in this particular you can say article, but there are other views as well. There are certain scientists which are saying that that is not the case. These are just isostatic activities which are happening. Isostatic activities means that something which is going on inside the, you can say, earth. Okay, inside the surface of the earth. When we talk about the top surface, that is basically earth's crust. Okay, after that we have mantle, etc. In this particular area, or you can say we have this molten lava on which, okay, on which this crust is basically floating. Okay, since this is floating and these two layers are coming together, and because of which, since these are not you can say permanent somewhere, so since, and they are floating, and that is why one plate is sinking and one is getting above the another plate. Okay, so that has been discussed. You can go through this particular article. Please remember the two names which are mentioned over here, Arun river and the Kosi river, and because of which here you can see there is a 75 kilometer away from the Everest, the area of the river which has been, or you can say Arun river's basin, that is 75 kilometers from the, you can say, Mount Everest, and world's tallest peak is to rise by 2 mm a year. Okay, so that is the speed they have mentioned, 2 millimeter per year. At this speed the Mount Everest will be rising. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now moving further to the next one, we have discussed that there are countries on which India is focusing now. Those countries which has never been given special attention, now India is, you know, making ties with them. We are you know, going with the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and right now we are actually going for you can say every country we are trying to make good relations with that, even island nations, etc. So in Caribbean nations, okay, there is this country that is Jamaica. Okay, with that also India has recently had a talk with the, you can say their supreme leader. Okay, so in that they have discussed that they will be going for the future endeavor, where they will be discussing the you can say cooperation in the STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and the, you can say, mathematics. Other than that also, when we talk about the digital public infrastructure, etc., they will be going for certain agreement. Okay, there is some kind of diaspora which is living over here. Okay, so because of which we are saying that we have people to people connect as well. Okay, so the location is there in the Caribbean. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move further to the next one. Portal for the internship scheme with top 500 firms to open in October 12, and after that the registrations will start. These top 500 firms, or in the budget it was discussed that we will be going for the internship scheme, wherein the top 500 companies of our country, they will be decided on a particular basis, and they will be offering internship to those people who are not getting any kind of jobs. So the people from the IIT, IIMs, they will not be applying for this. The people who are having issues getting the job, they are unemployed, these people will be going for the internship over here. Okay, so that is there. For that they are starting this portal from the October 12, and after that they will be starting the registration. Then Moizu starts India visit Sunday, plans being drawn for the 3 cities. So President Moizu, he will be coming to India from the Maldives. Okay, and you know that there was this India out campaign which was there when election campaign was there of this particular election in the Maldives. So now they are saying that this was not against a particular country, this was against the military presence in the Maldives, and they do not want any kind of military to be present in Maldives from outsiders. So now they are trying to, you know, woe the country. Ultimately they now realize that India is important for Maldives as well, and that is why we are witnessing this particular visit. Okay, and he has actually attended the Prime Minister Modi's swearing in ceremony as well. Okay. Now moving further, for your own read, there is this article, new SEBI rules to curb F&O frenzy aims to protect smaller investments. So you can go through this. Okay, otherwise we will be discussing in the any other session as well. Now moving further, why langurs are sometimes deployed to scare away the rhesus monkeys. Okay, so this is an interesting article. If you want to read, you can go through this. Okay, so that is about today's discussion. In the end, there is this question: what is the primary role of the Monetary Policy Committee, that is MPC? Regulate fiscal policies, control inflation and the manage interest rate, supervise bank and the financial institutions, and formulate tax policies. Okay, so you can go through these options, you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I will see you in the next session. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.